Thank you so much, Nuno. It's great to see you again, and I can't believe you don't remember me from Nam. So rude.
Ironically enough, I remember faces though. Names, I'm dead, but I know your face. I know your
Nice.
face.
That's cool. Let's talk about Rise, the song. It's fantastic. It's so cool. Your solo's amazing, and there's a big hubbub, as you may have heard, about this song and about the solos. If you could tell me a little bit about, the genesis of the song, how it came about, just a little bit about what came first or how the song came together.
You always go in when you record an album and when you do your guitars and do everything, I have this thing that I don't ever want to release anything that doesn't mean something to me. You know what I mean?
Right.
Much to our financial detriment, we probably had 4 albums worth of material over the last 10 years. But unless it like gets you to that point where you actually want to share it with somebody, like you call your brother or you call your buddy up or you go, hey, can I show you something? You're kind of like giddy about it and proud about it, whether it's the guitars or anything. And I
Yeah.
think that's when you're ready to show everybody is when you get to that point. And that's what happened with this. And I thought when you kind of go for blood always, you always have this thing of like my heroes, whether it's Edward and Brian May and Jimmy Page and Randy Rhoads and so forth. I've always had this kind of like punky attitude of the fact that, of course, man, imagine one day ever being like them. But it was worse than that. I was like, I want to take them down. Like I want to go for blood. I want to make them proud and go like, oh shit. You know what I mean? Like, so to me, it's like I never wanted to release anything where I wasn't like, if Edward was here, would you play this for him? Would you have the
Yeah.
balls to play it? So that's when we get ready to release something. And when all this started happening, I thought, okay, we might get, we're an older band. We might get about, 40, 50,000 views on the day with our fans, or maybe 200. Man, when it hit like a million, now 2 million, and you're starting to get hit up by, your peers and Brian May and Lukather and Vi, and they're going, dude, man, this is what's happening here. Part of me was like, what is happening? Like, what is going on here? Like, why? I always analyze stuff from, I back away instead of going, oh man, isn't it great? They love my solo and everything else. And I start going like, well, wait a second. Why is this happening in a way?
That's cool.
And I thought, because yeah, the solo's decent, song's decent. It's an extreme song, but I've been playing solos, I think, like this for 40 years, in previous
Right.
albums and things like that. So I was trying to consider like why the all the reaction now? And it really occurred to me that over the last kind of like, we're both old enough to remember that when we discovered guitar players back in the day, it was looking at that album, playing the album first, and then when you saw them live, you not only heard what you heard and you thought you heard and felt what you felt something from hearing it, but you had an imagination. Then when you saw them live or on a video, you saw the physicality of it, the emotion of it, that you could smell the rock and roll of it in a way,
Oh yeah.
the mythology, and I was thinking, man, over the last decade, if not more, which is great, which is why we're on a call today in technology. The way we discover some of the great guitar players right now, which there are many, like younger players, guys that I'm on Instagram and I go like, wow, fuck you. I don't even know what you're doing. That's amazing, right? But there's an element of them sitting on a chair like I am and like you are in the room you are. And that's how we discover them, most of them. And
Right.
they're playing as parts and they're playing as solos and things. And we go like, wow, wow. But it's more on a technical level because they're showing us and they're playing things. I think it's been a minute. And I think the reason the excitement for Rise and the solo and everything is because they're seeing and feeling the joy and the passion and the fire in a song
Right.
with melodies, with an arrangement, with a rock band going for it. Like there's just a rock and roll aspect to it. And a few people brought that up to me. Even when Luke there hit me up, he's like, man, yeah, there's great players, but I haven't been blown off my chair in a while from like seeing this video. And I'm like, that's where it is to me. It's like,
Yeah.
it's not, if I played that solo, like the label and even management wanted me to do initially, which is like, hey, do what everybody's doing. Get on TikTok, do a preview of the album while you're in the studio, sit there and play that solo with with nothing behind you, whatever it is. It would have been okay. And maybe they would have gone like, oh, okay. A few people would have shared and go, hey, man, check out what Nuno's doing. But I think the excitement is more than just the guitar solo in the song. I think it's the package. And I think it's somebody going, like, I've gotten a lot of thank yous. I'm like, thank you? What do you mean, thank you? The thank yous were like, man, thanks for doing this in a song. Thanks for bringing back rock and roll in this way, in this platform
Yeah.
from that era. And it made me realize, man, people are kind of starved for it. Not
Right.
just guitar playing, but just the angst and the fire and the joy that an Edward brought in, or a creativity that a Brian May brought in, or whatever it may be. And I think that that's what was exciting. I said to the band, I'm like, what are you excited about doing the album? I go, man, I just want to contribute a rock album and kind of bring guitar into it in a joyful and a fiery and a passionate and emotional sort of way.
Yeah.
That no matter what you do, and this goes to what we're about to talk to with the song, is that everybody can say, yeah, great solo, man. Let's dissect that. But for me, it's what's underneath it and
Right.
why you play it. It's the question that you just asked. Why that solo? Why? And for me, it's always been the mission, which I loved about an Edward Van Halen, was like, you know what? You could play the most ripping solo, and I'm the one on the first album. You like the intro, everything is like, what is going on here, kind of shit, right?
Right.
But
Right.
but then he plays for that song because the song was fun and fiery and it was a party. So he plays for that song. That's been the biggest goal of my life. And in Rise, it's no different. Because even with Edward on the same album, you go in talking about love, and he's like, is that the same guy going, "Dun, dun, 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 dun?" Like, really, is he have the balls to play for the song?
Right.
To
Right.
like pull back, not always excite somebody. And if once you go through the album, that's the biggest compliment I had. I had a great little listening party with Vi and Morello and all my guys. I'm like, hey, can I show you guys something? I want you to, before it comes out, let me know if it sucks, what you think, or whatever. And that's the thing they all said that was the biggest compliment, other than like, oh, excitement about the solos, was like, man, no matter what the song is, it stayed in the culture and it stayed in the wheelhouse of whatever the melody's feeding you, whatever the lyrics are feeding you tonally, the guitar was there for it. And I
Yeah.
and I think Rise is one of those reasons why it's exciting to people, is like, fucking song is fun. It's got some, and the riff, like you said, the riff is pretty basic, it's straightforward. As a matter of fact, I got to give props to Jordan Ferreira. I don't write a lot with other people, but I wrote this with him. And he's a
Hmm.
guitar player, and we write together. He's an artist that I work with, even on my label and stuff like that. And I was just like, fuck, that's super cool. Let's fucking explore that. And, add some harmonies, add some whatnot. And even sometimes you don't know, man, is this for extreme? And it
Right.
wasn't until I was hitting it and going with him, we were like, no, man, this feels like this could be some fiery stuff for the band, and that's what really ignited. This song ignited the album for me,
Yeah. Wow. Oh, cool.
because the other songs that we were doing, we had 40 or so songs for the album. I wasn't getting that feeling yet of like, where's the foundation of this house we're building so we can build the rest on it? And it was
Right.
Rise and a few more songs like Rise that really went, okay, we're onto something here. So
Yeah. Yeah.
Rise is the first song on the album. We wanted it to be the first single because it is the first song of the album. We probably wouldn't
Right.
have gone with it because of the tonality and the fire of it. And
Yeah.
that's why it ended up being the first single. And I had no idea that people were going to respond like this. And those reaction videos that everybody do, that everybody's sending me, I don't ever watch that stuff, but they're going like, people listening to it the first time, and they do the reactions. And when it gets to the soul, they're like, okay, wait, what? And then they go back. And it's really a weird out of body experience to see that happening and to feel that joy of people going, oh man, this is fun. Like,
Yeah.
this makes me want to like pick up my guitar. Let me figure out what's going on here. And I think what's good about Rise itself and the era of guitar players that I came from is like, as almost sonically difficult things may sound, even when you heard Edward or some of Page's stuff and some of like chords and what Brian May was doing, it was just, I have a word I made up called, I didn't know how to describe it, so I was like, simplexity. It's not a real word. I quit high school so I can say
That's
this.
a great word, though.
Rock and roll and arrangements in pop and rock have always been pretty basic. Verse, chorus, bridge. It's simple, right? We get a hook, we sing it. But if it's cool enough, and some artists, Queen and Page and people know how to do this, they make it complex enough if you're willing to pull back the layers. So there's complexity, but there's simplicity. So I think
Right.
a great song like Rise is the epitome for me of what I go for, which is simplicity. Can we make
Right.
can we make the guitar playing fun and even sometimes sound complex, but it's still attainable and reachable? And you could, Edward was just enough like, fuck, I think I can do it. I'm out of my mind, but let me try,
Yeah.
try to go there. And that's what I love about creating whatever I do on a song. I will always want to make it in that pentatonic world where it's like, I'm telling you, there's guys right now that are playing shit online that I'm like, that's not attainable for me. I would have to relearn a technique where they're picking and then adding fingers and doing all that stuff. And there's,
And you mean actually adding fingers?
I mean, actually adding fingers, like adding like, the morphing. So yeah, Rise, it started from, me, Jordan coming up with a great riff and me jumping onto that and adding some melody and some harmonies and arrangements and things like that.
Yeah.
And it was a collaboration. And then once it was in my head that this is for extreme, then you start arranging it that way and coming up with what we all strive for, which is at the end of the day is nursery rhymes for adults, right?
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just like that's what choruses are, that's what refrains are, and whether it's
Well, yeah, the hook. You make sure you stay on that plane of like this piece of music needs to do these things for me.
yes,
Because you said I wouldn't play it for Eddie if it wasn't doing it for me, and then and pretend like, hey man, isn't this great?
isn't this
And
great
so,
because the lick is fast or whatever it is? No, it's got to emotionally connect with me first.
and that's like the greatest thing when there's something to use a fancy word, altruistic about
Yes,
the thing itself because of how it hits you. If it works for you, then you at least will say, well, now I know it has a chance. Like this is going to connect. It's not just going to connect with me.
yeah.
Like I know it connects with me.
Yeah. And it's important. It's important to do that. You know why? For another reason too. As you get older, as you just live life, the last thing you want to do is put your head on the pillow at night, say nobody connects with it. And you're like,
Right.
fuck, I didn't even do what I wanted to do. I
Yeah.
did something because I thought this hook might connect with this audience, or I almost started marketing in my head that, oh, I can do this because like even when people said, oh my God, great job, Rise is modern sounding and it's gonna, go on. And I'm like, it is? Like, and in my head, I was like, it was just written because of the love of just rock and roll. And yeah,
Right.
it's like I joke, maybe Metallica and Aerosmith had a baby on this one. You're right. It's a little on the heavier side for extreme, but it's still got the rock and roll there. And all I want to do is put my head on the pillow at night and go like, you know what? I did everything I could, man. I left everything on there and
Yeah.
emotionally. And you know what? If people connect, it's a beautiful thing. But if they don't
Yeah.
connect, I'm still okay with that. I'm still okay with it because music isn't for every song isn't for everybody. You're always going to get the hope is you get 70 to 80% of people like, man, this really connected with me. And you're going to get the people that are going to come on and go, like, I don't like this. I don't like that hook. It's too pop, whatever it is, or the solo's too this or whatever it is. It's not for everybody, but at the very least, you want them, the fact that they're engaging, something's got to be good enough and emotional enough for you to love or hate it.
Yeah.
If it does nothing to you, then you're just going to walk away and say like, that's just garbage. It's not even worth my time to even listen. But if it conjures up even like, for instance, if I'm a fan of a band and their album comes out, you go, okay, I'm going to go listen to it. But there were times where I'd hear that album and I'd be like, whoa, I'm not sure if I like it. I don't know. First listen, I'm not sure. But I believe you have to have an affair with an album that comes out. You have to date it almost, especially if you liked the girl beforehand. If Queen comes out and Queen, the way they shifted from album to album, you're like, holy shit, they went from, Bohemian Rhapsody to jazz to this or whatever, and you're like they're playing 1920s, and then they're doing. I don't know if I like it, but then when you have an affair with it for a minute and you give it a shot because you respect that artist, it's now stuck in your CD player, your cassette player, or on your turntable for like a year, and you couldn't believe for a minute that you were like, oh shit, I hated this thing for a minute. Like you got to give it a second, and you got to give it a minute because true artists, real artists, they explore and they go for different stuff. And somebody said to me, man, I don't know if, before the album's gonna, I don't think Extreme Fans gonna like this, dude. It's a little bit heavier. It's a little bit harder. And I'm like, great. Let's run into the burning building. That's perfect. Because to me, an extreme album is expect the unexpected.
Yeah.
Not on purpose, but just because if I feel like going and sitting on the piano and writing a Sinatra type track that we did on Porn and Graffiti, which is When I First Kissed You, then I'm going to write it. And if it's turning us on and me and Gary are like, man, this is fucking cool. And we want to play it for people and we love it. It's going to go on the album.
So Jimi Hendrix, the Beatles, they went into a recording studio and they didn't say, well, we have this little song and turn on your tape machine and we'll see you later. And then we're going to go get a hamburger,
Yeah.
Like I love Jimi Hendrix said, he didn't even want singles pulled off of Electric Ladyland.
Yeah.
because he was like, it's stupid. Like, why would you even listen to Crosstown Traffic by itself?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't. He goes, this isn't some game. Like the way he said it was very funny. He's
Yeah.
like, we're not playing around. This isn't some game here. Like you're supposed to listen to Electric Ladyland from beginning to end.
Exactly. You want it to be a soundtrack of your life, of somebody's life, that they can escape just for a little while, for 50 minutes, 45 minutes, 1 hour, put on some headphones and get away from all the issues and stuff. That's the goal. Like to what Hendrix said. That's what Hendrix meant. It's like, come on, man. We're trying to give you something here. Yeah, you can listen to your favorite songs, but man, those albums that we listened to, you didn't never want it to stop because
Right.
you wanted it to go like, what do you got next? You always knew in your head, you got so good at listening to these albums and they became such DNA in the fiber of your being that you already knew the key and what was coming next on the next riff, and you could hear it before it even started because it
Or
blew.
the space between the song and the next song and the anticipation when it's an album so
Oh my
well.
Lord, that
You know what I
excitement.
mean?
Your heart
Like,
starts racing. It's
yeah, I'm
coming.
getting chills. I'm getting
Yeah.
chills thinking about Physical Graffiti, and you've got Custard Pie, and then you're waiting for the Rover to start.
Oh my God.
And it's like,
It's literally your heart starts pounding in a way that you can already hear it, but like, come on, let's
you
go.
hear it. Yeah, you hear it before it even starts.
And it's like and it's like an old friend that you're waiting to see. You're like, come on, man, come in the room. It's like somebody that you want to hang out with. It's exciting. And I think that was the best compliment I've received so far throughout all the press and all the interviews I'm doing is like, thank you for the album.